Hang on, another one coming in. Good afternoon, everybody. So this morning we had Hannah, who told us the reasons why we should be introducing sugaring into our treatment menu. And now we've got Rosie, and I met Rosie probably in lockdown, the first lockdown. I met her as on Facebook, and she has a brand called Aqua Natural Strip Sugar Wax, and we connected again on Clubhouse, where you were Debbie Lewis. And I said, oh, would you like to come on and do a little bit of a chat about your brand? So over to you.
Thank you very much, Jen. I really appreciate this opportunity because not often do we get, I know we now so involved with the Clubhouse that the treatment side of it is being set aside. It's more of a chat room rather than, real stuff that's going on. But yeah, so very briefly, this is my hideout, as I call it. You'll be wondering what I do in this, environment. But all the exhibition stuff that I take to and fro, then all comes up into this room. So I've set it up in a way that I can do have my few minutes away. So this is the workplace in the manufacturing area, a small room. So it's not an official salon. Anyway, so I am Rosie and I'm the co-founder of Aqua Natural Sugar Street brand. I started now, this is my 33rd year in the business. So why is the topic messy pots to start off with? When I moved from Tanzania, I had been making sugaring back home, and that's what we used in the salons. So when I came here, I wanted to start as a mobile therapist. And as usual, you would go into a wholesaler and, just buy your bits and pieces. And I ended up buying honey wax, which I assumed that it was what I was used to. And when I brought it back, I bought a wax former as well. And as you can see, I burned the wax former and I thought I couldn't get any wax out of it because I'd never used a wax before. So that is the reason why messy pots has been the topic. And I decided I had been looking for sugar wax for a long time and realized there wasn't one in the market. And that's what prompted me to start and convince my husband that it should be a good idea that we can start manufacturing. So started from a very small kitchen, making samples, and then we moved into a small unit, not very far from home. I bought some secondhand equipment, which is large military soup makers. So that is my huge pot that I would make my 50 kilo, 100 kilo of sugar. Fast forward, I realized that when you are trying to replicate a recipe from a kitchen base, going into a huge manufacturing, which we did, but unaware of the transition that happens, when you using natural ingredients like what I used to use were crystal sugar and lemon juice. In fact, I used to buy lemon juice fresh from one of the factories. They used to make orange juice and lemon juice not far from here, from Kobe. So it was all set up in a, I would say, slightly not primitive way, but the way, I was used to. And within a year or two, I realized that manufacturing in UK, there was a variation in the process that how we were doing, because when you cooking sugar, if you expose that syrup into a warmer place, it will start melting. And that's why you get soft sugar paste or a hard sugar paste or sugaring paste, because there's a variation to the texture of the product. And when it used to get cold, the sugar would crystallize, and it caused a huge problem. I wasn't getting a longer shelf life. And when we had a contract with a large high street chain, this is something that we had to overcome. And I was very fortunate that I came across a lady called Dr. Barbara Brockway, who had a PhD in sugar chemistry. And she advised me, she said, you can't make products like this if you're going to manufacture in large quantities. So I went to Leatherhead Food College to get a better understanding of how we can blend sugars without and eliminating, especially the lemon juice is the one which gives the balance, the pH balance. So either it goes too acidic or it goes too neutral, and we wanted to find that fine balance. And after 6 months of experimenting with blends of sugar syrups, we fortunately have now got a consistent product which we can manufacture and gives a shelf life of 2 years if it's not opened. So here we are. And the good thing about it is that you can use the product without any training. So you use this as like a normal warm wax, applied warm and removed with a strip. But eliminating any use of chemical along the line, or after the treatment or before treatment. Any questions? Anybody wants to know anything? So
you have been a little bit shy to share. You mentioned about the shop where you started at the chain. Do you want to mention which chain it was? Because it's quite a claim to have this contract.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, when my passion was to go into the professional market because that's what I was trained in, as a beauty therapist. And this was in '89, we set up the business. And soon after that, we launched at an exhibition in London. And I was so excited that, we didn't have anything alternative to a wax brand. So things would be honky-dory and, we would really make an impact. But unfortunately, I realized that there were almost more than 80 brands, waxing brands at that time in the market. And here I was, I just moved from Tanzania. I didn't have an idea of what the beauty industry was in UK. And it did set me back to think about that it wasn't going to be easy. And so we had a few wholesalers who were stocking it, but not the sort of volumes that we needed to sustain a business. And then the 90s recession started, and that just drained us completely. We had to literally decide whether we would be able to keep the business or, we go else, we just find some other sectors. And so 90s, Anita Roddick, how she was always on the television campaigning, for human rights or for small businesses, all that. And I thought, look, she's been traveling all over the world looking for products. Here I've got a product which hasn't been brought into the market, and why don't I contact the Body Shop? And I did. And within a year, we got a contract with the Body Shop. So that lasted for 18 years. And this is where all this came about. So we've learned so much being part of that journey with the Body Shop, because their standards really very high, and we had to maintain that. So yeah, that was the part that really gave us a footing into the industry. And as we went along, we realized that we were the first to launch strip sugar wax into the market through the Body Shop sugaring. And then the other brands came into, you could see them, the Wheat and all the rest of the brands. But now my heart has always been with the professional market, and I feel that it's the right time. We feel, there is a part of the industry which now are accepting that we should be more sustainable, eco-friendly, try and be more conscious about what we give to our clients, because our clients are going to be the ones who are now going to demand. It's not up to us. I've got nothing against waxes, because I think the wax industry is huge. There are some good waxes, but this is just an alternative. So you could have a brand like when you go to a salon and if you go for a facial, for example, it depends on what your skin is. And that is how the therapist will use a brand according to what your skin condition is. So similarly, I find that, why in waxing that we always have one brand that would a therapist you would use. I think if a client is somebody who has got a lifestyle, that they want something which is vegan, they want something which is certified cruelty-free, something which is natural, and a wax which is probably a lot of people find they're allergic to it. So it is just something that can sit side by side to a wax brand, rather than saying that, oh, you must only use a strip sugar wax or a sugaring product. I think there is room now for other brands to come in and for us to educate our clients that they should have an option. And this is where I feel that, we can try and move and bring this into the market and be more aware of how we should try and overcome some of the issues that the wax brands have. I mean, some of the waxes that come from China are quite cheap and can be a bit nasty. And this is the perception that people find that it's painful. So why not give an opportunity, I think, for therapists to try something that they don't need to train, something that is easy to use. If it's not good enough for you, well, to be honest, it's just a $5 that you probably buy a pot for to try it out. So that's all I'm asking.
You mentioned obviously there was a little bit of an issue with the shelf life, but now you've got it up to an unopened shelf life of 2 years. How long, once it's open, how long does the pot last for?
The pot will last, so I've warmed up a pot here. Once it's warmed, so you will, this takes 1.5 minutes to warm in a microwave, and that's the consistency you get. So it's a very pliable consistency. Now these are blends of sugar syrups, so the application you will get is really nice and runny honey. So I'll just show you a small demo. Now what I use, as a pre-wax, in order to remove any oil or moisturizer from the skin. I've just got a mild shower gel in here, which is not oil-based or moisturized base. It's just a very, I think, a simple shower gel, without anything. So I cleanse the skin. So I would cleanse the skin. And the next thing is that with sugar-based, because it's natural, you have to make sure that the skin is completely dry, free of any moisture or any oil. So I'm just wiping it away. And got the strips. Now the important thing is the talc. Now our talc is free of titanium dioxide or any fragrance. It's a pharmaceutical grade talc. So, the fear of people now thinking that, talc is not safe for your skin, but you could be assured that this is a pharmaceutical grade talc, which they use for tableting. So it's really safe to use on any, externally. So I'm just going to dry the skin. So you talc it gently, and as you can see, the skin is completely dry. And you take it with a spatula as you would. Now with this, it's just you start off at the top and you want to get a thin layer. So as you can see, it's quite thin. You put the strip. And there you go. It's really easy and everything comes off. And if there's any residue or anything, it will just wipe away with water. So I've got, this is just spring water with bergamot and witch hazel. And to finish off the treatment, just wipe it. So there is no tackiness. Your clients can put their tights, their jumpers back on without feeling any stickiness at all. Your pot, when you finish, just take your spatula out. Now, you know the double dipping thing with this. So what I use a smaller, oh, I've got it somewhere, a small jar. I warm this in a microwave if you don't want to double dip, and tip it into a smaller jar. It will retain heat for almost 40 minutes till you finish your treatment. So you either, use it from here or you use it in a smaller jar, and that would be just for your client, and that would be the treatment for as much as you want. And just wipe away, and this will store away for, I've got this jar, God knows for how long now. I just leave it here as and when I need it. So you close, once you finished, just shut it, wipe it with water, and it's ready to store. So there are no cleansers, nothing that you would need to wipe away. It's all washed away with water.
Could you heat it in a traditional wax heater as well?
You can, yes, you can want to. But the idea is, why would you want to put a product which doesn't need to stay as a constant temperature? The idea is because wax has got resins and rosins in it, they need to maintain a certain temperature, and that's the. So once you warm it into the microwave for a minute or two, get into a runny honey consistency, and it's it's ready to be used. And
okay, we've got a question possibly. So Kerry said, I'm completely new to sugaring. Are there different types of different skin types as there are with wax? Are there different types for different skin types as there are for wax? So sensitive, stronger paste if we're doing maybe the pubic area, underarm area, or is it just one is one?
I felt that with this one product you can use it on all areas of the skin, because the efficacy is right. It will remove hair. So the reason why they use the soft and the hard sugaring paste, it's because they are not warming it up. So it's more depending on the room temperature that they use the hard and the soft paste. When it's hot, they use the harder paste because of the condition of how warm it is. You are using this as a warm product. It is not, it's not dependent on the temperature of the environment. So it's like a warm wax. It works equally on any part of the body without, have a variation to it.
If anyone's got any questions, just press space bar and talk, or just put in chat if you're shy to share. So the other thing as well, which is great about your brand, is tell us about the refillable element of it.
Oh yes, so what we are trying to now eliminate is the single use of plastic. And we realize that because our jars can be washed and reused, so we have here, what we offer is that if you collect 6 jars, we will send you a free shipping label to send them back, and we'll refill those, and then so it's a refill, reuse, and reduce. That's the scheme we call it. And when you reorder, you can get a 15% off on your next order. So that's what we are trying to do, is eliminate, so amount of jars that go into the landfills. And this product is instantly biodegradable. So anything can wash away. How often do you ruin your carpets, you ruin your towels, or, it goes everywhere. And so this just washes away with water. So the savings that you can have all around is quite substantial. And the product is, a single jar is $5.95. So it's not that, it's not affordable. We are doing a small kit for a trial at the moment. I'm trying to do it. So if you want to use it for eyebrows or upper lip to try even the products, I've just got it here. It's a small jar. So we provide with strips, a couple of spatulas, and just instruction. Then it comes as a small jar. So you just pay for the postage and packing and try this out. So, I mean, the product, the application is so thin, it goes a long, long way to, by the time you feel that it's not a thick application. So I would say a full jar like that would easily give you 3 full half legs.
I do have
So if anybody,
sorry, I had someone knocking at the door, and then I was like, I'm on a live, leave me alone. I did have a question, but it's completely gone. So, is there a minimum order?
No, there's no minimum order. You can order 1 jar. You can order, so the kit at the moment, what we say is a starter kit, is a talc, a spray, and a full jar for £12.
Okay.
Well, that excluding VAT and shipping. Shipping is, I think, about $2.95 or $3, something like that. So, but that comes as a starter kit. So if anybody wants to try that, that would be, great.
Yeah, so Kerry said you have a link. So when I upload the video, we'll put the link to order. And have you got a price list, Rosie? Did we say about the price list? Have you got one?
Yeah, for March Madness, we're doing a 30% off. So you can get to try 30% off. I'll put the link, I'll put the link of the offer on Facebook. So they can, yeah. Otherwise, go on my website.
On the website.
Yeah.
So Mandy said she's just received her trial kit, so she's looking forward to trying it out. Is it just UK that you distribute in, or do you distribute in other countries?
No, we do distribute. I mean, Aqua Natural has just come back. We rebranded they just done it up, the design. So it's slowly getting into other markets as well. I think since this last week, there have been a lot on the Professional Beauty International chat about, how brands are now looking for natural products. So it looks very positive that we are going to have a lot more interest in strip sugar wax, and particularly there's no training needed. And as I mentioned, I think to you, hopefully the NOS standards are going to be under evaluation, and I think they will get approved, all the treatments. So if they do get approved, then strip sugar wax will be part of a training program that colleges or training academies will have to introduce. So that looks very positive.
So anything else that you retail in the kit? Is it the sugar, the pout, the spray afterwards? Is there anything else that you retail?
So I'm going to have the strips, which are, and the strips at the moment. So we've got just as a kit to start off, for waxing. And I think it's ideal for students who want to learn, because there's no investment. If they've got a microwave, they can start, practicing with a product on the application. It doesn't leave a mess. They wash away. Even when you are applying on eyebrows or areas that you feel that sometimes, it goes up onto your hair, just wipe it away and you can restart it. So those sort of disasters you can, try and get away from, because often you could have an eyebrow which sometimes has a slight
When I first started waxing, I can't remember how old my daughter was, but I said, "Oh, come and let me do your eyebrows." Well, I did just that, didn't I? And I didn't, but no one told me that if I put a bit of oil on, it would remove wax. I said, "Oh, Days, I'm going to have to pull your whole eyebrow off now." And she had this massive gap. Luckily, she was quite young, so it didn't matter. Today, she'd be killing me, wouldn't she? And now she's older. But yeah, all those sort of things happen, don't they? And, you know, as I think I said in Hannah's talk, I am the messiest waxer, so that's why I gave up waxing. I don't end up with more wax over me, the couch, the bloody towels, the floor, and not much on the clients.
No, and this is why I just thought when I got that honey wax, how messy it went. And I just couldn't, I had no idea, because in Tanzania, we never had any skincare available to us because it's a socialist country. And so there were no imported stuff at all. And when you are a teenage, you know, you want to, and ethnically, I think hair removal for us, it's more of a tradition, or culturally, you know, we have to do it because of hygiene purpose. So it's something that we were brought up with it. It's not that because of vanity or something like that, you feel that you don't know that you have to do it. We were, from a very young age, we were doing it. So it was second nature to me. And then I ended up with this wax, you know, which I thought just, I couldn't believe how I could get rid of it, because I didn't buy a solvent or anything to get rid of it. And yeah, so I'm glad that that lesson has, it was a lesson, but in a good way. There was a good outcome of it.
And Caroline says, sounds good that it can be removed with water.
Yeah.
Has anybody got any questions? Press spacebar if you have. Obviously, we've got the links up underneath this video, so people can either purchase the full kit or purchase the tester kit. I'll be putting an order in for the tester kit. My eyebrows are chronic, because obviously we've been in lockdown since the 15th of March 2020. So yeah, luckily I'm at that age where they don't grow back, you know, grow as much. When I was younger, I'd have been here.
I would love to have your eyebrows, because they're really beautiful. They're lovely shape and, you know, really dark. So
yeah. Oh, they're going grey. They're definitely going grey.
No, but it's for bikini line as well. I've been doing my own bikini line for a long time. I've done my own Brazilian as well. So yeah, and yeah, because, you know, when you're trying to, I'm hairless now everywhere, apart from obvious, you know, areas. Yeah. So I will, you know, if I need to test a product, that's probably the best way to do it now. Or my son, who is now got patches all everywhere. And we manufacture everything here in UK. Every batch goes through me. I feel all the batch, I test all the batch, we pack all the batches. So it's really a family business that we've been trying to sustain. To be honest, it hasn't been an easy ride. The beauty industry is not something that, I mean, I felt that jumping from the deep end of the pool when I got into it, and without realizing, either you sink or you swim. And it was one of the lessons that I think in business, that try and know your market. And I didn't know that. As you know, you sometimes, you've got the product, it's so great, everybody tells you it's great, but then you don't know who you're going to sell it to, because you need, you know, when you get into the industry, it's who's who you know, how do you promote? And in those days, there was no internet. So the marketing was all done by brands who could afford, you know, to advertise. And that was part of the reasons which held me back. And it just put me into a shell where I was more happy working behind the scenes, contract manufacturing, because I didn't know how to market. I didn't want to do it because I felt slightly out of my comfort zone. I felt that, you know, quite overwhelmed. When my first exhibition, I felt really overwhelmed, because it was such a shock because beauty back home was very simple, we made all of our products were made at home. So by using yogurt, eggs, henna, anything that you wanted to do was a kitchen, ingredients or herbs which are extracted or coconut oil or stuff like that. So for me, cosmetics were more done as a home holistic treatment rather than, what you could buy just on the shelf from the bottle. So it just overwhelmed me. And that's where I felt that this was, we got into a situation where we couldn't get out, but yet we had to just try and survive. So we had to remortgage the house and then build up the finances. And that was because that the Body Shop gave us that support, that they said they want to support small businesses. And so that it's a journey that a hard one, but learned so much along the way that I feel that I'm now ready to tackle, to get back into what I love most, doing most, getting in the professional market.
It is hard for the smaller businesses, the bigger, the big brands out there, they have the marketing spend and the small brands don't, do they? And it is very difficult. And I always say to people that are trying to enter the market, I personally wouldn't go in, who's on this, I personally wouldn't do the shows. I don't think much of the shows anymore. And I think to get a brand out there is word of mouth. That's my opinion.
And I agree, Jane, because for me, even now, I've sent samples and samples out. But then I think there are people who don't respond to you, They just think that, fair enough, I've got a sample, I do it in my own time and all that. But for me, it's something that I need to know, if I'm getting into a market, that there is, if you're getting into an industry, you want to make sure that you've got like all the reviews that are so vital these days, it's all review based. And so I think, slowly, the reason I have to do the shows is because that's the only way I feel that I can represent myself. And when they see the product and how it works, it makes it more easier for me to, approach the end customer. So exhibitions for me, I think are really good that, when you getting into the making a brand known. I know the old days are gone.
It's just horrendous. I mean, I launched a product God knows how many years ago, went to Manchester. The money I spent, like, so obviously I had to pay for people's accommodation, etc. He was helping me man the stand. And apparently I was the busiest stand. Was I? Really? It was dead, absolutely dead. And on the Monday was Student Day, and no one came. Yeah. So all the buses were bringing the colleges in, and the college students were going shopping. They were coming into the show. And I just thought, you know what, that's the last bit of money I'm handing over. Because in those days, I probably spent about 12,000, 15,000 on a stand. And it wasn't a huge stand, but when you take into account all the marketing, hire the stand, and you've got you have to pay for your lights, you have to pay for your carpet. I mean, it's ridiculous what you have to pay for these stands. And I just thought, no, do you know what? I've never got my return on investment. But then that's a lie. I did, but not from the show. So, and then I decided, unless I can dedicate all my time to working on this brand, I may as well not have the brand. And I didn't have anyone else that I could hand the brand on to, like in the family. No one was really interested. So I just parked it. So that was a big lesson for me. I did spend a lot of money on that brand because I thought it was a fantastic product. I didn't have to spend behind me to market it. So,
and for us, I think the other second blow came when the Body Shop was sold by L'Oreal, and they gave us 3 months. And that is something that I remember when Marks and Spencer were just taking contracts away from a lot of suppliers to Marks had happened just then. And then we were the next one with the Body Shop. I mean, the Body Shop employed, we know that if there were labels, there were 9 small companies doing labels, small companies, supplying to the body shop. So we all went under when L'Oreal came in, and I think they gave us 3 months. And that was when I felt that, do I want to still be in the business? Because I didn't just have that within myself to come out and say, look, we try and establish, but it takes, because it's money at the end of the day. Your finances, if you don't have the finances, you have to come out of your comfort zone. And that's what my son told me. He said, look, if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do. And you want to close the business when you literally given 30 years of your life without showing anything for yourself. And I thought, yeah, fair enough. I'll give it one more try and see how it goes. And I think it is the right time to get into the professional market. I think there is so much of indication that in the next, maybe not immediately, but in the next 5-10 years, there will be a consumer boom on, the demands from the consumers will be the way the markets will be driven.
So I think we can see that already. I don't think it's going to be 5 or 10 years. I think, if we're not offering a certain proportion of treatments that are clean treatments, let's call them clean treatments, so no preservatives in, etc., those salons are going to die. We've got to move with what the market demands. So Hannah has said, I don't think too much of the shows anymore. I would rather support a smaller business as they care about the therapists too. Yeah, that's true. The smaller brands I use, they know me, I can have a chat with them. Whereas when I was with Environ, for instance, they didn't know who I was. I could have been anybody. And there was that level of customer service from the bigger brands that I think you get with the smaller brands, because obviously they want to keep that business.
Oh, absolutely. For me, I think being a smaller brand, I would love to, be in that sector where, but the thing is that I think the waxing market is so huge. It's so huge. How do you convince a therapist who's used to, and I've got nothing, as I say, if you're used to a brand, you're used to a brand, and it makes it so much easier. When you're doing the treatment, the product, and that's the end of the story. But I think now that because of this element of, when you put a wax think about going into a landfill, how long does it take to biodegrade, the amount of jars that go in there, and the amount of so there is a link, and it is just thinking about that, and then thinking about how can you compromise, and the compromise is that you put something side by side and see how you get on. So that's what I'm asking is, if you don't switch, if you don't want to switch, fair enough, but always have something that is I know sugaring people charge 20% more than the waxing prices. It's because they think that, yes, and sugaring is not something which is easy to use. It's a technique which they have developed for so many. It takes a long time to be a good sugaring technician. So I value their time and their their expertise and the technique. But with the strip sugar wax, it's something that you can just keep it aside, and if you've got a client, you can introduce, but you have to convince yourself that it's working. And that's what I want, that, so far, touch wood, I've got so many people who've tried and have been happy with the product that they are willing now to, try on their clients. But as a therapist, you have to be happy with what you're, giving to your clients. And if that's not the case, then for me, it's a difficult thing to reach out to all therapists.
I have a real issue, because when I was in the UK in training, going into many different salons, the first thing I always saw was the wax pot. And if it was dirty, if it had the wax hanging down off of it, I'd be thinking, oh my God, if I was a client and I saw that wax pot, I would walk out. So I think that's the angle personally I would be going on, you know, because, you know, as salon owners, you know, you set the rules and we always are very clean, but our therapists sometimes aren't. So they're the ones generally, mind you, I've been in a few salon owners' rooms where Waxpots filthy do. But, you know, it's an easy win-win for the salon owners because they're wax, but, you know, they're not going to have that horrible, dirty wax pot. Oh no, don't. It just makes me cringe when I even think about it. I mean, there was one salon, I'm not going to mention names, but I walked in and I thought, well, I saw that the trolley that the wax pot was on was absolutely filthy, and she wanted me to put my products on there. Are you joking? Are you joking me? So I just said, can I have another trolley, please? And she said, why? I went, I'm not putting my products on there. And yeah, she never booked any more training with me. I don't know why. I think, you know, that's a win-win, because, you know, it's what I look for when I walk into a salon, because, you know, it's horrible when you see a dirty wax pot. It really is.
No, and yeah, that's the thing. So I just hope that, you know, this session will inspire others to just try the product, and let's hope that, you know, it could be something that, as you say, word of mouth.
Definitely.
That's what I want.
If anyone's got any questions when they watch this on replay, just post them in the comments, and then Rose is in the group and she will answer them. Kerry's just said, Kerry Gessner said she's definitely going to try a sample. I'm going to order a sample too. So you never know, I might introduce strip sugar once in Spain. Do you know what they use in Spain? Do they use, I think they use sugaring.
They use.
Yeah, they do use sugaring.
Europe is quite big with sugaring.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think, most of the salons I've been to are expats, so they're using waxing. Yeah, Turkey would be a good market. So I used to have a house in Turkey. Oh my God, when I walked in the salon, their wax pots were disgusting. I do, obviously, people realise I'm a bit OCD about my wax pots, obviously.
No, and that's why I find that, you know, just warming in the microwave, it's so much easier to get, you know, just get the product ready to start. And, you know, you don't have to worry about if a client comes at a short notice, what do? You haven't got your wax jar, it takes about 20 minutes to warm up. And, you know, so the practicality of it is obviously another angle to it. And so all in all, you know, environmentally, money saving, and at the end of the day, but it's client satisfaction that you have to think about. If and you know, so many people can't use wax. They feel that, you know, the moment the fear is that, you know, it's painful, but it's a wax. So if you think about the only way I can compare that, when you apply a wax, it's a chemical glue. So the only way you remove is by removing with a strip. Otherwise, once it sits on your skin, you have to use a solvent to dissolve it. So it is a chemical glue, you know, effectively. And that's when you pull, it pulls the skin as well. And the pull that you get from a sugar-based product, it's more like a plaster. So because, you know, it will pull the hair, but will not do any trauma to the skin. And I mean, it's not something that I feel that I'm trying to convince people, but this has been going for, it's used everywhere. I mean, you go to India, you go to any South Asian country, you go to any African countries, you go to any Middle Eastern countries. This is what they've always used. So it's not something that I've done, I'm making. What I've been able to do is to make it after blends of sugar syrups, which give consistency, efficacy, easy to use, application, and just like a traditional warm wax. So, and it wouldn't have been in the market for 30 years if it wasn't doing what it's doing as a brand, as a product.
Yeah.
So,
oh, and another question. Let me just see. Oh, that was Kerry just saying, yes, I'll definitely try a sample. So I would just like to say, if there's no more questions, thank you very much, Rosie. Very interesting. Glad I got you on finally.
Yeah.
And, as I say, I'll load it in the group, and then you put your links underneath, and then people can contact you for sample or to order, etc.
Absolutely. And we got 30% off, so there's no accusative hormone to use it.
Thank you very much, everybody.
And
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.